to another edition of the Quarantine Files, brought to you by the Good Brothers here on Mercado Airwaves. I'm your host, Mike Mercado, with the one, the only, the Good Brother himself, Alex Mercado. Good brother, how you doing?
This is the way.
This is the way, good brother. We are back on the Quarantine Files, and we are back to bring the entertainment, and we are back in what is your crazy mind game known as the Quarantine Files.
So yeah, and that's what I like about this show is we're allowed to do it when we please. Like that, the reason we started this show was, again, during the quarantine, keep us sane and give you even extra entertainment out there so you have something daily to listen to in all different genres just from this network alone. We're going to ease you back into it without the list today, and we are going to go over some fan questions that we've received over the last few months. So I'm really excited. I have not given Mike any of these yet, so I can get an honest answer, and I promise you he will give you an honest answer.
I promise you I will, and when we talk about all of the answers, I'm going to give you all the answers. You can follow The Good Brother and myself all over social medias if you want to give us some of your questions, some of your thoughts. The Good Brother, you are now going to be focusing a little bit more on your Instagram. You're going to become one of these Instagram models, I heard. What is your Instagram tag?
Yeah, I'm going to be heavy on the Instagram just because the nice visual always helps. So we're going to get you snippets of the studio or the fun things we get to wear.
Lower half or bottom half? Lower half or top half?
Top half, luckily.
Okay.
Top half, luckily. Patreon for the lower half. But it's at Mercado2121. Go ahead and give me a follow there, and you can kind of keep up with both of us and how we're doing.
And he's also on Twitter at Mercado21Alex. I'm on Instagram at Mike Mercado Media, and I'm on Twitter at Mike and Media. And, of course, the show is on Twitter at Good Brothers Pod. So with that, Good Brother, let us see what the lovely people, the lovely audience, the universe of the Good Brothers, what do they have in mind?
So we have 5 questions I picked out from the day. Let's start a little easy. What is your favorite B movie?
That's fun. So between you and I, what are we considering a B movie? Are we talking about, is it a B movie if it doesn't have a lot of financing behind it? Like,
it is your definition, because there are a lot of different definitions. It could be a movie that was made cheaply. It could be a movie that didn't make a lot of money and should have. It could be a movie that was kind of created to be more of a silly, fun movie instead of a serious. Even in action, you have serious action, you have fun, silly action. So I have Van Helsing. It is definitely a B movie, I would say. It's very cheaply done. I think they paid mostly for the actors and not the CGI. It is fun. I love those old school monsters. I love the fact that we get to see Wolverine fighting Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde and Dracula, and he's secretly a werewolf. And we have these hot vampire women running around as his stooges. Like, the whole movie's so silly and knows it's silly, and I love it for it. I really wish we would have got a series out of it, but I guess that wouldn't make it a B movie if it got a series. So, yeah, Van Helsing is probably my favorite B movie.
That's a really good one. I mean, I guess we can always go through the Arnold classics, but I'm not going to, because those are Arnold classics. So while they may be B movies,
they're not anymore.
Mm-hmm. And
Predator is not a B movie.
Yeah, and like, I also don't want to go with schlock. So things like Hammerhead or Mega Snake or Snake on Trains, not Snake on a Plane.
That's almost parody at this point.
But something like Snakes on a Plane, I think it's a B movie. Mm-hmm. My favorite B movie, then, if we're going to go down that route, Deep Blue Sea.
That's a good one.
I love Deep Blue Sea. I think the CGI for the time was pretty decent. I think it was kind of funny. And it has one of the most quotable moments of a moment in a movie that really, of all things, helped define Samuel L. Jackson. Yep. Like, think about it. Like, he's been in all these movies, but this is one that we talk about all the time, and it gets eaten by a shark. So I think it's a really fun movie. I'm always entertained. It's only an hour and 45 minutes, so it flies by. It knows what it is. It doesn't try to be Jaws. It just tries to be its own fun little movie. So I think a movie like that is what I consider a B movie. I will say this, though. A modern day movie that may go down as a B movie but isn't schlock, Crawl.
Yes.
That is the recent movie about the crocodiles and alligators. Wonderful movie. I saw it in a full theater back in the day when people were allowed to see each other. And it was a packed Tuesday night like always. Wonderful movie. I love that movie. That's the kind of stuff I'm talking about. Doesn't have to be an Oscar winner, but it's enjoyable, knows what it is, and still finds a way, against most odds, to give us a good movie.
I'd say a modern one for me would be Rampage. I really enjoyed Rampage, and I understand how silly the concept of the movie is. But The Rock leading a movie like that, we can definitely get into what defines a B movie if it's turned into a modern indie at the time.
But this is what's different. This is the close thing because, like, when you talk about indie, Star Wars, the original one, that's indie, but that would be considered B movie status maybe in the very beginning of it, where people are like, oh, it's just a weird wizard movie. But we have to be careful. I think most movie fans do. There's a difference between being a B movie and being a bad movie.
Exactly. Like Fantastic Foursome is not a B movie. That's just a bad movie.
Captain America, the original one, that's not a B movie. That's a bad movie.
Oh, I like the original Captain America.
No, not Captain America.
Oh,
First
the
Avenger.
90s version.
The 90s version.
Okay,
The original Captain America.
Thank you. I was like, that leads into our second question, Mike.
Which is?
Okay, so we get this one quite a bit. Which is a better trilogy, the Captain America trilogy or the Dark Knight trilogy?
I mean, I literally... Okay, the Dark Knight trilogy is the better trilogy than the Captain America trilogy.
I agree.
Yeah, it's the better trilogy of the two. The difference is the Captain America trilogy is much more aesthetically pleasing. So I think at first glance, and because what it led to, we kind of give it to these things. But don't get it twisted for one moment. Christopher Nolan compared to the Russo brothers, the what we got from Heath Ledger compared to like anything we got from Bucky, and it's just
play the numbers. So like Dark Knight's your number one, cool. Then you start going into probably put
at number 2 Batman Begins.
You can argue even if you want to put
all right, you know what?
Winter Soldier at number 2.
This is the problem.
Then Batman Begins.
No, this is the problem. I'm so glad you said this is the problem though, and I'll play devil's advocate even to my own argument. While the number 1 seed goes to the Dark Knight,
easy.
2 and 3 can go to Winter Soldier and Civil War.
Yeah.
So like
I think it comes down to Civil War, Batman Begins, and when you start averaging that, your worst one is the First Avenger.
Yes.
So you start playing the numbers, you start mix and matching. You're like, number-wise, the Dark Knight trilogy is above not only.
So what's the worst one?
But critical.
So First Avenger is Dark Knight Rises better than First Avenger?
Yes.
Then the argument's over.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I'm like, you have the number 1.
Yeah.
You have a 2 or 3, and you don't have the last one.
Yeah.
You start averaging out Dark Knight trilogy. It's just slightly better.
So much closer than people think. That 2 and 3 seed of Civil War, Winter Soldier, wherever you want to put it.
I like all 6 of those movies, by the way. I think all 6 of those movies are fantastic.
To be honest with you, and like again, it just to me the reason why it ends up being number 1 is because the Dark Knight is so much stronger than the other ones. But I think First Avenger is better than Dark Knight Rises.
I don't.
That's just me personally, but I think everything that you love about the MCU is really starting to be built in that movie, and you could see like the foundation of it being built much more than the conclusion of what was the foundation of the first 2 movies in The Dark Knight Rises.
No, I get that. Out of those original movies to set up the MCU, I like Iron Man and Thor better than I like the First Avenger.
Oh, very interesting. And that's very interesting because maybe in that case you're right. Those 2 are better than that first one, but I think even at that point, First Avenger is better than Iron Man 2 and Iron Man 3 and better than Thor 2. Mm-hmm. But Thor 3 was freaking fantastic.
Thor 3 is
Ragnarok
best
ones.
Thor 1, I still think Loki
Thor 1's very good. Yeah.
It cracks my top 10 MCU movies.
Yeah, it's great. What else you got?
So let's go into something. How about this one? Your oldest movie memory. And we should be pretty similar since we're close in age. I remember seeing Hercules in 1997, the animated one, from Disney. I love that film. And I also remember the drive-thru for Godzilla 2000.
Very interesting.
So those are, if I had to think oldest, those are my 2 oldest memories. And I also remember at a medium age falling asleep during Kingdom Hearts or Kingdom of Heaven. Kingdom of Heaven, we went to see, and we were way too young to grip such a fantastic film like that we appreciate as older men now in the business. When we were teenagers and saw that, and we thought it would be more Lord of the Rings, it was not.
So your first real memory is 1999 to see Hercules.
Was that 1999?
Was that the original one that came out? The original
for Disney?
Hercules?
I believe so. I thought it was 97, but it could be 99.
Oh, you know what? Hercules Zero to Hero was 1999.
So 97, yeah, the 1997 Disney animated film.
All right,
Hercules.
so your first memory is 1997?
Yes.
I can top you by 1 year that you're involved in. My first real movie experience, let me just confirm this. Let me make sure that this is correct because I have 2 of them, and I just want to see which one came first.
Lion King?
No. So my first real movie memory, Independence Day.
See, yeah, I don't remember that too much.
1996, and I remember it because you walked up and walked away when you couldn't remember where you were at. You were sleeping, got confused, and walked down the aisle.
See, I know this story, but I do not have a memory of that.
My second is The Lost World Jurassic Park.
Really? I must not have been there for
1997.
that one.
So yeah, those are my two memories of seeing ID4 and watching
would've been
Lost World Jurassic Park.
Yeah, I don't know where I might have been there. I don't remember either of them. I remember the story from Independence Day. I don't remember anything about the film as that. Like Hercules is the first time I remember actually being in a theater.
Yeah, the one about Jurassic Park I remember because we saw with our abuelo, and abuela did an annual trip. Our abuela, she would go back home to Costa Rica and see family. And obviously, being years old, I didn't know that the movie was filmed there in Hawaii. So my grandfather, my abuelo, would say, "Yeah, that's where your grandmother is. She's getting eaten by T-Rex." After we went to go see the Lost World, yeah, he still says it to this day. And Independence Day, I remember seeing with like Jeff. Oh, you know what? I have one more, and this one may be the ultimate one, good brother. Let's see. So we have 1996 and 1997. Okay, this might be the actual earliest one. I remember going to see Space Jam with Jeff, my mom.
I don't. See
1996. You were 4 years old.
Yeah.
So like, but you were with us and all these things.
Yeah,
so
I just don't remember them. Yeah. Like,
but so those are my three earliest memories. One of those three was the first one, and if Space Jam was the earliest, then for sure it was probably that one. So those are my first early memories. What else do you have? Do you have any?
No, I had those. When it comes to earliest, yeah, it's definitely Hercules because I just love that movie to this day still, and I remember the drive-through experience of watching Godzilla.
That was a great one.
Yeah.
What else you got?
All right, so we have two more, and these two are a little bit more fun. I'm gonna save. Okay, so we'll go with favorite actor of all time. This is a very broad one. It's a very tough one, but I want you to man up, and I want you to say what your answer is.
So my favorite actor of all time,
pure
I
actor.
could watch all their movies, no matter what movie it is, or at least I have a wide enough library of them that I could. Probably it's Tom Hanks.
Tom Hanks,
like,
really?
He's probably the one that comes to mind because I love Forrest Gump. I love Saving Private Ryan. Big is great. Like there's.
I have two.
Who do you have?
Denzel Washington.
Denzel's great
because my pops Training Day. Training Day is me and Dad's favorite movie to this day.
That's a good one.
And Christian Bale.
Christian Bale's a great one too.
Those are the two that I can easily say. I'm like, yeah. I'm like library wise, like if a movie with them is on, like even their weird ones, like for Denzel, like Two Guns or The Equalizer, I'm like, I love those.
If we're gonna go like
Christian Bale, like anything Christian, I'm like, I can't think of a movie Christian Bale's in that I don't love.
So then, if we're gonna go that way, it'll probably be one of the Rat Pack members of either Leo, Damon, somebody like that. Like it's probably one of those guys. That's
Ben Affleck was close, but I don't like a lot of Ben Affleck's early stuff. I like more of his modern, like last 15 years stuff.
Yeah, I definitely think like I guess modern day. It's funny because I'm much more of a director guy too, though, where it's like I'll watch certain directors all their stuff much more than I'm an actor.
That's why it's harder.
So like actor wise, like Tom Hanks, I guess if you gave me on the right day, it would have been like a Pacino or De Niro. Because at one point, like, if you had told me, like, these guys were on it, like, they...
A little old for me,
But, like, they might be a little bit past that prime, or at least, even especially to this day, like, The Irishman, like, I was excited for it, but nowhere near as excited if we were going to be in 2004.
It's not very rewatchable, honestly. Yeah. It's great, great first watch and even maybe a second, but definitely not like Goodfellas where it's on, you want to watch.
Yeah, we talked about that back in the review, which seems like a whole lifetime ago, which is crazy. Yeah, so, I don't know. I guess...
It was Thanksgiving last year when the movie came out.
Oh, wow. Yeah, so
Oscar season. Yeah. I remember watching the day after Thanksgiving, not having work, and be like, okay, I'm going to watch The Irishman. I'm going to stay up. I got home at 1 a.m. for Thanksgiving, and I stood up till 4 watching The Irishman.
Yeah, so I guess in this case, I would have to say my old school pick would be Tom Hanks. My new school pick would be Leonardo DiCaprio.
Mine are better.
Yeah, probably. Just a little bit.
All right, last one. What movies have made you cry? You can name a few. This one I like. We can go back and forth. Give me a movie if you have a few. I'm sure you do.
Yeah, I mean, I guess right off the bat, Steel Magnolias is one that comes to mind.
That's a good one.
That one.
Yep, I agree.
That one makes me cry. And
that's which part? The ending, the funeral?
The ending, yeah. No, not the funeral. When she, like, first kind of passes out and she's like, she's ready
when
to die.
The mom is crying to her friends, that one gets me.
When she starts like, why her? And
that part gets me. So not only do you have to see the movie, I want to know a scene. So like, Guardians of the Galaxy 2 with the funeral at the end.
Yeah, that's a good one.
That gets me.
That's
really I'm a daddy's boy too, so like, hear that scene, I'm in the theater like,
I'm Mary Poppins, y'all.
Like, do I look cool? And he's like, yeah, the coolest. I'm like, oh my God, he loves his dad so much.
Yeah, that's a really good one.
That gets me. They came.
Oh man, movies that really made me cry.
You know what a recent one was? And I'm talking about really recent? Jojo Rabbit with the shoes.
Oh, yeah.
My God, I did not see that coming. And when it came, I was I turned away for a second and I'm like, oh no, and it got me really bad. Avengers Infinity War, obviously, or Endgame.
Yes.
Definitely. Not Infinity War didn't get me, but Endgame definitely just for like, we did it. We got here. Like, this is over.
Marley and Me.
Yes.
Toy Story 3. I definitely shed a tear at Toy Story 3.
Not a tear. I didn't shed. I had a good feeling. I had a nice warm feeling. I didn't shed a tear for that one though.
Pursuit of Happiness.
No tear. Just real happy.
Oh, Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind.
That one messed with me. No
Yeah,
tear, but that one just
that one
messes
messed with my day though. That one. Yeah.
I'm trying like a full on like you had a tear in the theater or you had a tear at home watching.
12 Years a Slave. I cried during 12 Years a Slave.
That ending when he says sorry, that one, yep.
I cried during 12 Years a Slave. That one was a hard one.
That one was a really hard one. I've seen that movie like 5 times because I just think that's one of the best movies ever made, honestly. If I had a top 50, it'd make my top 50. You're right. That one at the end where he's apologizing, that is some great acting. Oh my God, that movie's so sad.
I'm trying to think of like...
I'm like an actual tear.
Like Titanic never made me cry.
Selena. We've talked about Selena a million times, yes.
I didn't cry during like Brokeback Mountain.
No.
A Walk to Remember. Like some of these like I didn't like because they obviously were made to make you cry. Yeah. So like I don't know how like I didn't cry during Romeo and Juliet or
it's always subtle things that'll get you a tear. It's always like certain movies that'll get you.
Big Fish. Big Fish had some good ones with Johnny Depp and the little boy.
Manchester by the Sea, another recent one. That one got me a lot. That one
you were huge on that one.
That one's a very eye-opening human piece, I would say. It's very raw, and there's something about these raw movies where it's so real. You know what? A Marriage Story really got me. You know, being of an older age where you're dealing with getting relationships, like that one got me of just like you started life with this person and now you still have to live with them even though you don't love each other like that. It's very real world sad, and I shed a tear on that one.
Dead Poet Society? Oh, obviously a good one is Good Will Hunting.
Good Will, which part?
The when he's talking to Robin Williams.
Yeah. I get a happy tear on that one at the end. When he's like, kid took my line.
Yeah.
That one, like, I cried at the very end because I'm like, I love the part where Ben Affleck shows up and he's not there. Like, that's the part that gives me the heebie-jeebies.
That's a good one.
Like, that's a nice tear. I'm like, that's a nice one. Anything else you can think of in the top of your head?
No, there's just so many that, like, over the time, like, you don't even think about, like, we mentioned Still Make, the ultimate one. This is what I'll end mine in. The first 10 minutes of Up.
Didn't shed a tear.
You are a monster.
No, I felt bad. She was old. I mean,
you are a monster. Oh,
I didn't
my God.
It's a beautiful scene. I didn't shed a tear.
Oh, my God. That scene breaks me. It breaks me. I
got my last one, too. The only Disney movie that breaks... To this day, I can't finish that movie without, like, sobbing. Is Coco.
Coco
is the very very end, and the fact that like they just kill off Mama Coco at the very end, and I'm sitting there like sobbing. I saw it like 2 weeks ago, and I'm sitting there still like with a tear. I'm like, dude, I've seen this movie 10 million times, and it still to this day gets me.
Full disclosure, I saw it before Good Brother Alex, and I hyped it up so much. I'm like, dude, it is everything you need to watch.
And
it
I'm
is
like, nah, it ain't that good.
And I even told him like, it is so good. It is gonna beat the song of the year, which was the Greatest Showman.
I still think the Greatest Showman should be the song of the year. And I'm like,
it is. Remember Me is the greatest thing. First of all, this show will always say, screw Ernesto de la Cruz. We will never forgive him.
When you hyped up that movie, like, there's no way. And I sat there and I touched you. I'm like, that's one of my favorite movies of all time.
It's one of my favorite movies of all time.
I couldn't stop smiling and crying.
Yes, and like, I love it. And full disclosure, as we're ending this one, the main kid's name is Miguelito. And what sucked is a few months after that movie came out, I boarded up and produced a show for a wonderful deacon. And his name was Miguel, and he used to call me Miguel because he only spoke very broke English. Mm-hmm. So one of his nicknames was Miguelito.
They can't do a lot of C's.
Yeah,
a lot of C's from Spanish-speaking people.
And it sucked because, like, obviously when you hear it and you lose, just when you lose people.
And the fact that we lost our grandma years ago, like to this day, I can't listen to that. I'm like, we'll be at the gym and a Coco song will come on for the little kids from Disney playlist. I'm like, not changing. That's gonna make me sad.
My favorite real concept, though. And life concept and spiritual concept that I actually gained from Coco and the story that Coco comes from was you die twice. when you first lose your
and
life,
then when you get forgotten.
the last time somebody speaks your name, and like there's something like so
Poetic about it
that I love, and I also dread. It's like, yes, there will be a day where your name
200,
is spoken
300 years. When
for the last
and
time.
you want to hope that you leave enough of a legacy that you'll always be remembered generations to come. Like, obviously, it's a different situation, but like, you can't name your 5 grandpas ago. You know what I mean? Like, you have your grandpa's grandpa that you don't know anything about. So, like, that is kind of a weird, sad thing to think about. But yeah, that's a good way to end it. Coco definitely made me cry like a little child, and to this day, I can't get through it without shedding a tear.
It's really, and to be honest, Coco has made it really hard because we were watching Onward, and Onward sets itself up for a moment where it's just going to break. It will still, obviously, because like it's Pixar, but nothing will, at least to me personally, will hit that moment. Like there were great moments of a brother, and a father.
Yeah, but something about abuela, a Mexican family,
And
their culture.
But the internal struggle of if we forget him, he's gone forever.
Yeah.
Like just that, like that finality forever.
The whole thing with Miguel, and just like, I love my family, but I do want to have my own voice. I do want to be, and as any, I think, Hispanic, our generation of, I want to honor what you set up for me, my abuelas, my uncles. But at the same time, I want to bring us to the next generation. I do want to modernize us a bit. I want to have my own voice. And especially in Hispanic cultures, you have that middle of, how much can I push our limit, but still respecting my elders and my family?
And just the Day of the Dead stuff.
It's the best. It's my favorite.
It's my favorite Pixar movie as well. Good brother, what a wonderful questions. Thank you to all the fans. Thank you to all the interaction. Make sure you guys are following us on Twitter at Good Brothers Pod. The Good Brother is on Instagram at Mercado2121 and on Twitter at Mercado21Alex. I'm on Instagram at Mike Mercado Media. I'm on Twitter at Mike M Media, and you can follow the show on Twitter at Good Brothers Pod. Good brother, any final thoughts on this episode of the Quarantine Files?
Final thoughts.
Thank you, everybody. Please be safe. Take care of each other. We will see you next time here on the Quarantine Files, brought to you by the Good Brothers here on the Mercado Airwaves
Network.